Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Chapman University and the award ceremony for the Sala and Aron Samueli Holocaust Art and Writing Contest. This is the 27th year of the contest and the second year of the contest, as it has now been renamed in honor of Holocaust survivors Sala and Aron Samueli. The generous endowment gift from the Henry and Susan Samueli and the Samueli Foundation assures that the contest will continue for many decades to come. Please join me in thanking the Samuelis, the president of the Samueli Family Philanthropies, Lindsay Spindle, and the senior director of Jewish Life at the Samueli Foundation, Scott Braswell, who's seated on stage with us today. I'd also like to say a special thank you to the mayor of the city of Orange, Dan Slater, for being here today to be with all of us. Chapman couldn't have a greater place to call home than the city of Orange, and I think he's honestly the best mayor in the country. He comes to all of our big events to show support. He's really a tremendous leader in our community, and we appreciate your leadership, Mayor Slater. I also want to thank and welcome our friends in the 1939 Society and other survivors, as well as our national and international contest participants who are viewing our event by live stream. The theme of this year's contest, Holding On to Hope, required you to listen thoughtfully to a Holocaust survivor's testimony, reflect upon their experience, and share your response in poetry, prose, art, or film. Your creativity is a gift of mind and heart to the survivor, just as they're sharing their experiences, which oftentimes meant reliving the most difficult of memories, is a gift to you. Through this special connection you have made, you now have a deeper knowledge and understanding of the Holocaust. Perhaps you now also have a different perspective on your own life and relationships. Listening to your survivor's testimony may also have strengthened your resolve to stand up and speak out against anti-Semitism, hate, and bigotry. We come together today as a community that stretches across time, space, and generations. Our contest participants represent schools from across the globe, from the Philippines to Poland to South Africa and New York to Hawaii. We are united in celebrating the power of memory as a much-needed beacon of hope and purpose in our troubled world today. So, welcome to Chapman University. And now, to continue our program, the interim director of the Rogers Center for Holocaust Education, Dr. Stefan Christian Ionescu.
Thank you, President Parlow. I want to begin by thanking Barry Friedland and the Orange County klezmers for bringing us into the spirit of today's ceremony through the music that originated in the shtetls, the Jewish villages of Eastern Europe. We celebrate today 27 years of partnership with the 1939 Society, the Holocaust survivor organization, whose members have inspired the contest from its beginnings. To share just a few numbers, this year over 200 schools and nearly 280 teachers in 32 states and 6 countries outside the United States registered to participate, enabling us to reach more than 7,000 students. We welcome today students and educators from across the United States and around the world who are viewing the ceremony via live stream. I want to direct your attention to the individuals and organizations listed on the inside cover of your program. We are honored to have with us a number of these leaders, along with those from several districts and cities, who have taken the time from their busy schedules to celebrate the achievements of students and educators. You will find their names listed on the insert of your program. Today, we celebrate you, the middle and high school students who have listened and responded to Holocaust survivor and rescuer testimony. Sometimes, the voice to which you listened had an accent, perhaps like me, and you had to struggle a bit to understand it. Sometimes it was hard to envision the older person you saw on your screen as a child or teenager they once were. But you persevered, and by doing so, through your actions, you have answered the call of memory. I would like to ask all the students who participated in the contest to please stand and be recognized. It is thanks to you, the dedicated educators, that so many students have participated. You have mentored and guided your students through this difficult history. Would all the educators who participated in the contest please stand? Thank you all. As we gather today, we remember the millions of individuals who suffered and died during the Holocaust. We honor the survivors who witnessed for the family members and friends taken from them. We are grateful to Callie Klein, Hazel Fenn, Shelley Meyer, Monica Feganov, and the Supporting Our Survivors team at Jewish Family Service of San Diego, in partnership with the Jewish Federation of Orange County, for facilitating the travel of survivors to today's event. They will be introduced by our next speaker. It is now my pleasure to introduce William Elprin, President of the 1939 Society, now a division of Holocaust Museum LA, our partner in this contest since its beginning.
Good morning, everyone. It is an honor to stand before you as we gather to recognize the extraordinary young people who participated in this year's Holocaust Art and Writing Contest. This year, thousands of students from around the world, from different countries, cultures, and languages, made a choice that is both rare and profoundly important. You, chose to listen seriously. They chose to bear witness. Each of you selected the testimony of a Holocaust survivor, someone who endured the unendurable, someone who rebuilt a life after loss beyond measure. And you listened to their story. Then you did something courageous. You responded. You transformed memory into action. You created essays, poems, films, paintings, drawings, and videos that do not simply recount history, they illuminate its meaning. In doing so, you joined a chain of remembrance stretching from the survivors themselves to every generation that will follow. With every word you wrote, every image you drew, every video you edited, you carried forward a legacy that the survivors feared might one day be forgotten. You assured them that it will not. The Holocaust is not only a chapter in a textbook, it is a living experience of individuals, mothers, fathers, children, neighbors, whose lives were stolen or radically changed. When you listen to a survivor's testimony, you met a real person. Someone who once stood where you stand now, young and full of hope. By engaging with their story, you gave them what hatred tried to take away: dignity, humanity, and an enduring place in our moral consciousness. Today, we celebrate your talent, your empathy, and your willingness to confront one of the darkest moments in human history. But we also celebrate your potential, because the work you created is not an ending, it is a beginning. You are the next guardians of memory. You are the next generation who will say, I heard the stories, I understood their lessons, I will not be silent. To the finalists and award recipients, congratulations. To every student who participated, your work matters and your voice matters. You have proven that remembrance is not passive, It is active, creative, and deeply personal. And to the survivors whose testimonies guided these students, thank you for your courage. The world is better because you chose to speak. These students, gathered from every corner of the globe, are proof that your stories have reached the hearts far beyond what you might have imagined. As we honor the achievements of these young artists, writers, poets, and filmmakers, we also reaffirm our shared responsibility to stand against anti-Semitism, against hatred, against indifference, and to stand for human dignity and truth. Thank you to all the teachers, parents, mentors, and institutions that made this contest possible. Thank you to Susan and Henry Samueli for honoring Henry's parents with the gift of naming and supporting this contest. You are all cultivating a generation that understands the value of memory and the urgency of moral action. Students, may you continue to create, to question, to care, and above all, to remember. Congratulations to each of you, and thank you again for helping ensure that the words "never again" are not simply spoken, but lived. If I may take a point of personal privilege to make an exciting announcement, the 1939 Society has joined forces with the Holocaust Museum Los Angeles to become a division of the museum for a stronger front against modern hate in an era of rising anti-Semitism and Holocaust denial. We hope you'll visit the museum in the Pan Pacific Park. Now, I'd like all the survivors that are here today to please stand up and accept our recognition and our gratitude, please.
Our speaker today, Katie Chase, is a Holocaust educator and granddaughter of Holocaust survivors. Her family's experiences have profoundly shaped her life. Carrying forward the legacy and testimony of her grandparents, she has dedicated herself to ensuring that the history and lessons of the Holocaust remain relevant and meaningful to new generations. Ms. Chase speaks frequently about the Holocaust at high schools and other locations in Orange County, where she helps students and adults connect emotionally and intellectually to this critical event in history. Katie earned her Bachelor of Arts in History from the University of Colorado, Boulder. She has served the Sage Hill School community for the last 15 years in both athletics and development. A former Division I collegiate soccer player, Katie has coached and competed in tournaments around the world. Katie enjoys traveling, playing soccer, and hanging out with her niece and nephew. Whether she is in a classroom, on a field, or at the podium, Katie is passionate about empowering young people to learn from the past and stand up for dignity, justice, and humanity. Please join me in welcoming Katie Chase, who will speak on a theme carried by hope, my grandparents' story of survival.
Wow, this is awesome. I wanted to say a huge thank you to Chapman University, President Parlow, and especially my besties, Marilyn, Jessica, Sherry, Stefan, and Ashley of the Rogers Center for Holocaust Education for having me here today. Thank you to the teachers, staff, and students for taking the time to deepen your understanding of the Holocaust and for being a part of the Sala and Aron Samueli Holocaust Art and Writing Contest. You are the reason that we are here. And thank you to the survivors for trusting us with your testimonies. What an extraordinary gift you have given us. I am truly honored and humbled to be with you all this morning, sharing something that is profoundly meaningful to me, the stories of my grandparents and their survival of the Holocaust. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to my grandparents, Grandma Faye and Papa Saul of blessed memory. Aren't they the cutest? When I was maybe 8 or 9 years old, I remember going to visit my grandparents up in Los Angeles. They lived in a tiny house with a steep, steep driveway. It was so steep that I thought it was actually easier to run up the driveway than to walk up it. So my 8 or 9-year-old self would sprint up that driveway, and then magically, before I even reached the top, the front door would fly open, and my grandparents would be standing in the doorway waiting for me. Grandma Faye always greeted me with a Shana Madela, which in Yiddish means cute, sweet little girl. Okay, Grandma, thank you. I love a good compliment. And then immediately after that came the massive crystal bowl filled to the brim with fruit. Usually it was green grapes, sometimes cherries, sometimes melon, and then it was lovingly pushed into my face. I would tell my grandma, no thank you, I just ate, or I'm so full, but that never mattered to Grandma Faye. Did I eat the fruit? Oh yes, I did, every single time. My grandmother's love language was sharing food. I didn't know it then, but I do now. Grandma Faye didn't have enough food during her teenage years, and she definitely didn't have delicacies such as fresh fruit. So by her sharing something so precious to her, she was showing me love, care, and safety. Grandma Faye was 12 years old when the Holocaust directly impacted her. 12. For many of you in this room right now, that's how old you are, or maybe a few years ago. I want you to picture a 12-year-old child when I talk about my grandmother. Faye's story of survival begins in 1940 when she and her family were sent to the Lodz ghetto in Poland. She persevered through inhumane conditions alongside her parents and 3 siblings. Severe hunger, disease, overcrowding, and constant fear. Faye and her siblings were forced into slave labor, sewing uniforms for the Nazi war effort. They worked under brutal conditions until the Lodz ghetto was liquidated and everyone remaining was sent to Auschwitz. Auschwitz. Just saying that name out loud sends chills down my spine. Faye and her family were deported on August 6th, 1944. And you might ask how I know that exact date. It was Faye's 17th birthday. Upon arrival, Faye and her older sister Risla were immediately separated from their mother Chava and their siblings Mordechai and Zina. Faye watched her mother and siblings walk away towards the gas chambers. Although she did not know this at the time, that moment would be the very last time that she ever saw them. After that separation, hope became deeply personal for Faye. She fought to stay alive not only in the hope that one day she would see her family again, but also because her sister Risla was still there with her. Risla had been with Faye from the very beginning, through the Lodz ghetto, Auschwitz, then Stutthof concentration camp, and much of a death march from Poland to Germany. For Faye, Risla symbolized hope. She was tangible and she was present. She was someone to live for every single day. It was no wonder that when Faye had a daughter, she named her after her sister Risla. My grandfather, Papa Saul, standing at about 5'5", was kind and had a really big heart. One time, when I was in elementary school, I remember going to visit my grandparents in their tiny home in the steep, steep driveway. Papa Saul was very excited to show us a new movie that he had purchased on VHS. The movie was called Coming to America. Papa Saul thought it was a movie about immigrants coming to America, and he thought it was about him, and he could not wait to share this with his grandkids. Okay, but what he didn't know is that Coming to America is actually rated R and has a lot of profanity and many scenes that were very inappropriate for elementary school-aged kids. So when Papa Saul heard the rip-roaring laughter from my brother and I, his face turned bright red, tomato red. To this day, Coming to America is one of my absolute favorite movies. So thank you to Papa Saul for introducing it to me. Papa Saul was really stinking smart and clever. He spoke 6 languages and managed to escape the Nazis on multiple occasions during the Holocaust. He was also a bit cheeky. Saul was just 15 years old when the Holocaust directly impacted him. As I share his story, I want you to picture someone around your age. Like Faye, Saul's story started in the Lodz ghetto. He quickly realized that what was happening was inhumane, and he needed to get out. So what did 15-year-old Saul do? He escaped From a closed, heavily guarded ghetto, Saul fled to the forest, the one place that he could think to hide. But hiding wasn't enough. He needed meaning, and he needed purpose. He needed to fight back. So he joined a Polish resistance underground group and began sabotaging the Nazis. At 16, Saul was captured while fighting with the resistance. He was tortured and sent to a forced labor camp. After only a few days, freezing, starving, and exhausted, Saul decided that he was done. So he escaped, and then he was caught, and then he escaped again, and this time he was successful. That was Saul, determined and fearless. He went on to work for the resistance 2 more times, once smuggling documents and ammunition while hiding on a Polish farm, and later in the Buchenwald concentration camp, where he sabotaged the Nazi war effort by deliberately manufacturing airplane screws in the wrong size. If the screws didn't fit, then the airplanes, they couldn't fly. This was Papa Saul's hope. It was hope built through resiliency, hope built on courage, hope built by strength, hope built on the belief that he still had a choice. Choosing to resist meant reclaiming his humanity. It meant taking action rather than simply enduring. It was a declaration that his life had meaning and purpose, that he was human, and that no one could take that away from him. That was Papa Saul's kind of hope. When I look back at what my grandparents endured, I honestly don't know how they did it. At a time when human beings murdered other human beings solely because of who they were. How could anyone be hopeful when they watched their family members be killed right in front of them? How? Yet somehow, they did. I believe that hope, alongside luck, circumstance, and chance, is what kept my grandparents and so many other survivors alive. Hope took many forms. Sometimes it was big, sometimes it was fleeting, sometimes it was simply getting through the next hour. It came from believing that loved ones might still be alive, from living for someone else, from finding meaning and having purpose, from refusing to surrender dignity. Hope also came from believing that someone had to survive to tell the world what had happened. Holocaust survivor and Nobel Peace Prize winner Elie Wiesel believed this deeply. He said, "I swore never to be silent," and he wasn't. He also said, "I believe firmly and profoundly that whoever listens to a witness becomes a witness." Now, I want you to take that in for just a second. Whoever listens to a witness becomes a witness. Because you have listened to a survivor testimony, and now to stories of Grandma Faye and Papa Saul, you are a witness to the Holocaust. Every single person in this room, you are a witness. Elie Wiesel went on to say that a time would come when survivors would no longer be here, and that others would have to bear witness for them. That time is now. My grandparents can no longer tell their stories, but I can, and now you can too. After the program is over, I invite you all, students, teachers, friends, to join me outside in what I call the Witness Hearts. When I started sharing my grandparents' stories, I wanted a physical reminder that those who had heard them had become witnesses to the Holocaust. It started with a simple wooden box engraved with Elie Wiesel's words. Each witness writes their initials and the date onto a small stone heart and then places it into the witness box, symbolizing their commitment to remembering. You'll take a second stone heart home with you. My hope is that when you see it later today, or even years from now, that you'll remember what you heard today. You'll remember Papa Saul and Grandma Faye, and you'll remember to never be silent. Thank you so much for being here and for carrying these stories forward. We love you, Papa Saul and Grandma Faye.
Thank you, Katie, for your inspiring message. And now we turn to honoring the participants in this year's contest. It is my privilege to announce the International Recognition Award. It will be followed by the announcement of the middle school finalists and winners and the high school finalists and winners. So there is more time for students to interact with survivors at the reception following the program, we will not be reading the names of all the participating schools. Please see your program for those names. Before we announce the awards, we want to congratulate all the students and educators who participated. And now a word about the judging. The names of our judges, a distinguished group, are included in your program. The contest judging is done as a blind read, which means that the judges do not know the name or school of the contributor. As the finalists in each category are announced, we'd like to ask those students and their teachers to stand and remain standing until all the finalists have been acknowledged. Students and teachers in second and first place will come to the podium to accept their awards, and first place recipients will share their work. So now let's begin with the International Recognition Award, an award given to an international school whose achievement in the contest merits special recognition. This award recognizes the commitment of the school and its educators to teaching their students about the Holocaust, as well as the outstanding achievement of a particular student. This achievement will be recognized with special certificates and a cash award to school, teacher, and student. It is my great pleasure to announce that this year's International Award of Recognition will go to Arkadis Fiedler Primary School in Brzęszyn, Poland. Teacher Anita Ruszow-Golek and student Magdalena Tobis for her artwork entitled Hope Finds the Way, inspired by Selina Biniat's testimony. Magdalena and her teacher are watching the live stream from Poland. Please join me in congratulating the school, teacher, and the student.
I'm Cameron Castaneda, Manager, Academic Content and Instructional Support at the Orange County Department of Education, and I'm honored to present the Middle School Pros finalists. Finalist students and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Luca Nami and teacher Chatham Arkin from Harbor Day School in Newport Beach. Luca's work is based on Angelina Belauer's testimony. Fiona Gadari and teacher Heather Tolliver from Pioneer Middle School in Tustin. Fiona responded to Sophie Lazar's testimony. Sanvi Lonke and teacher Brooke Lundy from Shady Grove Middle School in Gaithersburg, Maryland. Sanvi's work is based on Eva Kaur's testimony. Paris Zwang and teacher April Akiva from Tarbut Vitora Community Day School in Irvine. Paris responded to Gerda Weissman-Klein's testimony. Maggie LaRoche and teacher Mary Hopkins from the Stewart School in Henrico, Virginia. Maggie's work is based on Rosa Ivanowski's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place work, What Cannot Be Taken About Sophie Lazar, was written by Fiona Gadari from Pioneer Middle School. Fiona and teacher Heather Tolliver, please come to the podium. The first place work, Counting Days About Eva Kaur, was written by Sanvi Lonke from Shady Grove Middle School. Sanvi has traveled all the way from Maryland to be with us today. Her teacher, Brooke Lundy, is watching via live stream. Sanvi will now read Counting Days.
counting days. Before she allowed herself to move, she listened. Breath, a small shift of weight on the wooden bunk. Proof. Around her, the barracks fractured into sound, coughing that tore through chests, boots striking the floor and shouted German commands. Bodies rose. Only after the breathing beside her steadied did the day begin. In that place, she learned the rule. If one twin died, the other would be killed. She was 10 years old when she arrived at Auschwitz, after 3.5 days with no food or water. An officer's finger snapped towards her and the girl beside her, Zwillinge, twins. Hands seized their shoulders and pulled them towards the experiments as their mother was forced in the opposite direction. That was the last time she saw her. Her name was Eva Moses Kor. Stamped with the number A7063, Eva was treated as what Joseph Mengele called a treasured experiment subject. From May to December 1944, needles found her arm again and again. Sometimes she could count 5 going in at once. Fever curled through her like a fire. Mengele glanced at the chart and laughed. 2 weeks. Eva did not cry or beg. In the barracks of the living dead, she kept a litany she later named in her testimony. I must survive, I must survive. So, she made survival small. Not years, not liberation. Today, when she could no longer walk, she crawled. When she could no longer reach water, she dragged herself across the floor, splinter by splinter, inch by inch, until her hands closed around the cup. Swallow by swallow, day by day, she taught herself to read the thermometer and manipulate the results before the nurse checked it. It was for the one who shared her face and her fate, her twin sister. When her twin sister, Miriam, fell ill, Eva became her caretaker. She lay beside her on the wooden bunk, her own body shaking with fever. One rise of the chest, one fall, again. As long as Miriam breathed, Eva preserved what the camp designed to erase: the belief that one life could still matter enough to fight for. When speaking with her son, Alex Kor, he said to me, "Every day was another day to be killed, but every day was another day to live." Hope in Eva's testimony is discipline. It is waking each morning and refusing to let the future's cruelty devour the next hour. It is a deliberate accumulation of an extra sip of water, a bite, a small deception that buys another morning. Years later, she spoke when silence was easier and taught when forgetting felt safer. She gathered the stories of other Mengele twins and carried them forward. Because of Eva, I count differently. When school pressure, expectations, and fear feel overwhelming, I reduce the future the way she did. Not into years or outcomes, but into the next task, the next hour, the next breath. Hope is not something I wait for. It is something I practice. Tomorrow is uncertain, but today is not. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Denise Valadez, Associate Superintendent of Curriculum, Spirituality, and Accreditation for the Diocese of Orange Department of Catholic Schools, and I am honored to present the middle school poetry finalists. Finalist students and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Bethel Bernier and teacher Mercy Hearn from Acacia Wood Preparatory Academy in Anaheim. Bethel's poem is based on Esther Vygotsky's testimony. Camila Hernandez and teacher Alejandra Hurtado from La Purísima Catholic School in Orange. Camila responded to Alice Himar's testimony. Vivian Garbascas and teacher Tammy Thurston from Mariners Christian School in Costa Mesa. Vivian's poem is based on Lumila's Page's testimony. Aron Nall and teacher Leanne Lippert from Orchard Hills School in Irvine. Aron responded to Joseph Alexander's testimony. Myra Muscal and teacher Jenna Lind from Tuffrey Middle School in Placentia. Myra responded to Tamara Weinreich's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place poem, Small Enough to Hold, about Joseph Alexander, was written by Aron Nall from Orchard Hills School. Aron and teacher Leanne Lippert, please come to the podium. The first place poem, We Danced in a Striped Dress, about Esther Vygotsky, was written by Bethel Bernier from Acacia Wood Preparatory Academy. Bethel and teacher Mercy Hearn, please join me at the podium.
We dance in a striped dress. Esther, Esther, the liberating soldiers call. Dance for us, the song of hope in your soul. Dance to your song, Ause's death, with its 3 notes of grave death. She danced, striped dress twirling, feet flying and spinning, swishing and leaping, with her heart and her soul laid bare. She danced in a striped dress. She uncloaked the hope of her people through her interpretive dance, rising belief that family and friends might hold each other again. She danced with hope in a striped dress. She unveiled the courage of her people, caring for each other, stealing food for another. Although death loomed like a shadow, she danced full of courage with hope in a striped dress. She danced the death of her people, the death of a prisoner, pirouetting till she dropped. She danced in a pillar of smoke through the stench of burning bodies, weeping for family members, uncertain of their fate. She danced, wrestling with death, full of courage, with hope in a striped dress. She danced the story of her people, still holding on to hope till they dropped, till they were murdered. She ended her dance, crushing the swastika with her final strength. She danced a story, wrestling with death, full of courage, with hope in a striped dress. I choose to dance too, for her story, for names to outlive numbers and memories to outlive smoke. We dance for her story, for all those history tried to erase. We dance in a striped dress.
I'm Scott Braswell, Senior Director of Jewish Life for the Samueli Foundation, and I'm honored to be here and to present the middle school art finalists. Finalist students and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Isabella Orozco and teacher Mercy Hearn from Acacia Preparatory Academy in Anaheim. Isabella's work is based on Regina Lewin's testimony. Audrey Ho and teacher Terry Syke from Brea Junior High in Brea. Audrey responded to Dina Wolf's testimony. Grace Liu and teacher Danielle Morris from Lakeside Middle School in Irvine. Grace's work is based on Gerda Weissman-Klein's testimony. Charlotte Chang and teacher Jessica Kim Saad from St. Junipero Serra Catholic School in Rancho Santa Margarita. Charlotte responded to Paula Leibovitz's testimony. Jacqueline Veckley and teacher Kimmy Carlos from Travis Middle School in Yorba Linda. Jacqueline's work is based on Selena Beniaz's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place artwork, Hope Between the Lines, about Selena Beniaz, was created by Jacqueline Veckley from Travis Middle School. Jacqueline and teacher Kimmy Carlos, please come join me at the podium. The first place artwork, Reaching for Love, about Dina Wolf, was created by Audrey Ho from Brea Junior High School. Audrey and her teacher Terry Syke, please come join me at the podium.
Dina Wolf never had a childhood. At 4 years old, her family was imprisoned in Russia. Even after they were supposedly free, her father was imprisoned again. Although war is no place for a child, young Dina held on to one thing, her parents' love. In Dina's testimony, she said, quote, "My mom and dad loved me a great deal," unquote. In my piece, the child's hand is Dina's, reaching towards her father's bound hand. Letters were their only connection. The roses around Dina's hand symbolize her mother's love, fierce and ever-growing. Butterflies are a symbol of hope and are being passed from her parents. Dina Wolf's story is a testament to the importance of holding on to your parents' love, an ideal I can relate to deeply. Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Jennifer Keene, the Dean of Wilkinson College of Arts, Humanities, and Social Sciences, the heart and soul of Chapman University, and also the proud home of the Rogers Center. I'm honored to present the middle school film finalists. Finalists, students, and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your name. Nikaya Lee and teacher Mercy Hearn from Acacia Wood Preparatory Academy in Anaheim. Ms. Hearn is standing a lot today, I notice. Nikahaya's work is based on Yaja Stern's testimony. Anouk Nakinto and teacher Carol Shears from La Paz Intermediate School in Mission Viejo. Anouk responded to Leon Lason's testimony. Rohan Kataria, also with teacher Carol Shears from La Paz Intermediate School in Mission Viejo. Rohan's work is based on Saul Lieber's testimony. Blake McDuffie, also with teacher Carol Shears, she's very busy, from La Paz Intermediate School in Mission Viejo. Blake responded to Rose Judy de Lima's testimony. Kate Yamasaki and teacher David Gillette from Travis Ranch Middle School, in Yorba Linda. Kate's work is based on Rosette Fisher's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place film, Holding On to Hope, about Saul Lieber, was created by Rohan Karatari from La Paz Intermediate School. Rohan and teacher Carol Shears, please join me at the podium. The first place film, Stay, about Rosette Fisher, was created by Kate Yamasaki from Travis Ranch Middle School. Kate and teacher David Gillette, please join me at the podium.
Stay. Rosette Fisher's decision to stay for her mother resonated with me. She was my age when she experienced the Holocaust, yet, even through tragedy, she held on to hope. She explained, "I didn't believe in people, but I have to say that I have many, many good friends, and there are some good people." Despite inhumane treatment, she found hope in the people of her small community. This taught me that one person can be enough. Similarly, my grandpa found hope in me. Due to his blindness, his hope was small. I stayed and offered him hope by attending doctor's appointments, playing music, and listening to him. He stayed for me, educating me on valuable life lessons, his eyes open to hope. When hope appears lost, staying for someone can be the difference. Thank you.
I couldn't leave her alone, so I wouldn't go. So I stayed for her.
Rosette Fisher was born and raised in Lutz, Poland in 1923. In the year 1937, at the age of 15, her family moved to Paris, where they were arrested by fellow French civilians. And ever since that day, her life was changed forever. The cattle car ride included inhumane conditions with nowhere to use the bathroom, no ventilation, and each person on top of the other.
We were squeezed, people were going mad. It was just unreal.
After 3 nights of these horrors, they arrived in Auschwitz. However, not long after they arrived at the concentration camp, both her beloved father and younger sister Rochelle died.
My mother got very tired. She would walk slower. So we were like in the back of everybody. And I would tell her, "Come, Ma, you wanted to survive. Let's walk." And she said, "No, you never leave me here. You just continue. You're young, you can go." I couldn't leave her alone, so I wouldn't go. So I stayed for her.
Although her mom began to succumb to the pain, she mustered enough strength to prevail and to stay for her daughter. Although hope was small, Rosette was a beacon of hope for her mom, just as I try to be a beacon of hope for my grandpa who lost his vision. And so I stayed for him. I stayed for the doctor's appointments, I stayed and played music, I stayed and listened. But he also stayed for me. He stayed and educated me on important life lessons. He stayed and taught me math. He stayed and supported me at recitals or award ceremonies. Although he's blind, I believe that he sees memories of the two of us as hope that guides him on. When I think of my grandpa, I see how I can be hopeful too. A time when hope was hard to find, both Rosette and her mom, and my grandpa and I stayed for each other, which allowed us to hold on to hope. Rosette's story teaches us that it is vital that we stay for one another through times of struggle, and that one person can be the hope we hold on to most.
But she will still be with me as long as I live.
And now we recognize the high school pros finalists. Finalist students and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Siona Thakur and teacher Jonah Kortson from American Preparatory Academy in Draper, Utah. Siona's work is based on Leopold Rossner's testimony. Ariane Aliaga Cabreros and teacher Mindy Siegler from Hawthorne Math and Science Academy in Hawthorne. Ariane responded to Marian Lazan's testimony. Maytal Kaczynski and teacher Jennifer Guy from Northwood High School in Irvine. Maytal's work is based on Angelina Belauer's testimony. William Ryu and teacher Christina Zubko from Sunny Hills High School in Fullerton. William responded to Joe Engel's testimony. Natalie Hong, also with teacher Christina Zubko from Sunny Hills High School in Fullerton. Natalie's work is based on Sally Roisman's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place work, Postcards for Survival, about Sally Roisman, was written by Natalie Hong from Sunny Hills High School. Natalie and teacher Christina Zubko, please come to the podium. The first place work, Mirrored Soul, about Angelina Belauer, was written by Maytal Kaczynski from Northwood High School. Maytal, please join me at the podium. Maytal will now read Mirrored Soul.
Mirrored Soul. The bond between sisters cannot be manufactured. It is the quiet of a shared glance, the steady weight of a shoulder to lean on, and a role model who walks just a few steps ahead to light the way. For Angelina Belauer, this bond was the thin line between existence and extinction. In the autumn of 1942, the world as the Belauer family knew it collapsed into a nightmare of steel and soot. As the Gestapo closed in, a flicker of hope appeared for Frida, Angelina's sister. Because of her employment at a German company, Frida held a precious exemption, a legal shield against deportation. Beloved does not seek safety at the expense of the beloved. In a defiant act of devotion, Frida volunteered to join her parents and sister, trading her freedom for a tragic shared fate. Together, they entered a landscape designed to erase them. They stood side by side as shearers stripped them of their hair, watching their identities fall in dark, discarded heaps. They became ghosts in rags, their dignity tested by the biting sting of cold water hoses and the hollow ache of 12-hour shifts. Though they were transported through 7 different camps, including the brutal conditions of Bergen-Belsen and Stuhlhof, they refused to be divided. Survival became a communal art. As a group of 5, they mended one another's crumbling shoes, stitching hope into leather. When a meager crust of bread was found, it was broken in 5. When typhus threatened to pull Angelina into the dark abyss of the infirmary, Frida stood as her lighthouse. She risked everything to visit daily, anchoring her sister in the land of the living with the sheer force of her presence. As Angelina later reflects with haunting simplicity, if it wouldn't be for my sister, I never would have survived. As an identical twin, I see my own soul mirrored in their story. When I look at my sister, I see more than a sibling. I see a second self, a guardian of my memories and a partner in my purpose. When I struggled with my own mental health, my sister was right by my side, urging me to keep fighting, our unbreakable bond helping me navigate the overwhelming darkness. Just as Frida helped Angelina survive the grimmest chapter of history, my sister helped me overcome mine. While I've never had to navigate the horrors of the Shoah, I recognize the heartbeat of endurance that sustained those who did. The same pulse that binds my sister and me in a vow that we are stronger together. Frida and Angelina prove that even when the world is stripped to its bones, love is an inexhaustible resource. Inspired by their story, I carry their story forward as a promise. I will be a lighthouse for my sister and a steward of Zechol, transforming passive memory into concrete action. By educating younger generations through advocacy, I will ensure that never forget remains a living action rather than a passive thought.
And now we recognize the high school poetry finalists. Finalists, students, and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Isabella Goldfried and teacher Isabel Duque from Bishop Moore Catholic High School in Orlando, Florida. Isabella responded to Richard Belauer's testimony. David Ramos Reyes and teacher Melissa Cruz Alvarado from Early College High School in Costa Mesa. David's poem is based on Thomas Blatt's testimony. Laura Batista and teacher Megan Inger from Hawthorne Math and Science Academy in Hawthorne. Laura responded to Regina Lewin's testimony. Brandon Sweet and teacher Kenna Millspaugh from Santiago High School in Corona. Brandon's poem is based on Ben Stern's testimony. Journey Diaz and teacher Stacy Shoup from Yorba Linda High School in Yorba Linda. Journey responded to Leah Starkman's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place poem, Letters of Aspiration, about Regina Lewin, was written by Laura Batista from Hawthorne Math and Science Academy. Laura and teacher Megan Inger, please join me at the podium. The first place poem, The Path He Ran, about Thomas Blatt, was written by David Ramos Reyes from Early College High School. David and teacher Melissa Cruz Alvarado, please join me at the podium.
The path he ran. The bodies of innocents fade into smoke as mines continuously rupture the ground. German soldiers fire at those who cry for freedom, and the ashes of the deceased envelop the sky. There is seemingly no way out, no end to this nightmare in sight. Yet a nimble teenager by the name of Thomas Blatt continues to fight. Past the mines and gunfire, he climbs over a fence. I just slipped out and was running when the moment was most intense. Through the forest, tall grass, and past Germans, his heart beat in unison with the thunder of gunfire. And when all hope seemed lost, when a bullet tore through his flesh as his friends lay dead without peaceful rest, Thomas decided he would refuse to surrender. He knew that hope was not the promise of safety, but the courage to act even when life flashed before his eyes. He didn't know where his path could lead. He only knew to never accept defeat. Choosing to endure his pain for the chance to help future generations avoid another genocide. Thomas spoke so the world will never forget, so silence will never hide the warning signs again. His courage to act became a map he hoped we all would follow, and today I choose to walk the path he revealed. A path that reminds me having hope doesn't mean waiting for fears to disappear, but having the courage to move even when the way out isn't clear. So whenever I feel overcome by fear and doubt, I'll simply slip out and keep running forward, because honoring his survival begins the moment I stop standing still, and it continues by remembering the cost of silence. So history's darkest chapters are never again written in blood.
And now we recognize the high school art finalists. Finalist students and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Flora Yoon Jun and teacher Deliana Hoffaker from Brea Olinda High School in Brea. Flora's work is based on Vladka Mead's testimony. Sala Bay and teacher Christine Williams from El Dorado High School in Placenta. Sala responded to Robert Clary's testimony. Don Coe and teacher Jeff Bonds from Foothill High School in Santa Ana. Don responded to Julia Lentini's testimony. Alma Miller and teacher Ruthie Skeist from Shalhevet High School in Los Angeles. Alma's work is based on Itka Zygmuntovich's testimony. Allison Bunton and teacher Rebecca Calamaro from Tarbut Vitora Community Day School in Irvine. Allison's work is based on Samuel Michael's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place artwork, Still He Sang, about Robert Clary, was created by Sala Bay from El Dorado High School. Sala and teacher Christine Williams, please join me at the podium. The first place artwork, Caged Hope, about Itka Zygmuntovich, was created by Alma Miller from Shalhevet High School. Alma, please join me at the podium.
I was drawn to Itka Zygmuntovich's story because she was born near the town where my great-grandmother grew up, and like her, was 13 when the war began. But I ultimately chose Itka because of her poetry and the hope it gave her. In her testimony, Itka says, "I had no control of my life. Spiritually, I could think and feel what I wanted." She explains that she imagined the poems she would write if only she had a pencil and paper. Though physically powerless, she used her imagination to create meaning and resist dehumanization. I illustrated her poem in which she describes herself as a bird with clipped wings. I drew the bird caged in Auschwitz. The surrounding birds and books represent hope and the poem she would one day share. Itka's story reminds me that inner freedom and creativity can sustain hope, and it gives me the strength to face my own challenges.
And now we recognize the high school film finalists. Finalist students and educators, please stand and remain standing when I call your names. Brendan Bowie and teacher Tanis Deloyla from Cannon High School in Anaheim. Brendan responded to Ilsa Diamant's testimony. Madeline Thatch and teacher Stephanie Thatch from Prescott Homeschool Academy in Colleyville, Texas. Madeline's film is based on Rudy Hertz's testimony. Anthony Samorlov and teacher Nicholas Unger from St. Edmund Preparatory High School in Brooklyn, New York. Anthony responded to Celine Brooks' testimony. Youngju Sarah Lowe and teacher April Akiva from Tabut Vitora Community Day School in Irvine. Sarah's film is based on Yanka Kent's testimony. Please recognize these finalists and their teachers. The second place film, 2,194 Days, about Ilsa Diamant, was created by Brendan Bowie from Cannon High School. Brendan and teacher Tanis Deloya, please join me at the podium. The first place film, Sustenance, about Rudy Hertz, was created by Madeline Thatch and from Prescott Homeschool Academy. Madeline and her teacher, Stephanie Thatch, I wonder if they're related there, are watching the live stream from Colleyville, Texas. Following a short video of Madeline sharing her film statement, we will screen her film, Sustenance.
My film, Sustenance, was created in response to the testimony of Holocaust survivor Rudy Hertz. This work addresses the contest prompt by showcasing how hope motivated Rudy to survive and overcome the horrors he experienced during the Holocaust. The film highlights his discovery of a bottle of cod liver oil in the midst of a death march. This specific experience was central to Rudy's story, and it empowered me to choose the sustenance of hope for myself.
The only thing that sustained me was my hope that I wanted to see the end.
What does hope mean to you when you are freezing, starving, and marching to your death? And how can a feeling keep you alive? Just ask Rudy Hertz. By the time he was 19, Rudy had endured forced relocation, deportation, and imprisonment during the Holocaust. In winter 1945, he was one of 8,000 prisoners of the Liberosa labor camp forced on a death march. Only 1,500 survived.
We marched, it was snowing, we were exhausted by the time we were reaching our first destination. No protective clothing, no coats, wooden clogs, no socks. Bread, we had nothing. Water, we dipped up some snow. We were getting weaker and weaker.
But Rudy kept going until he found a tiny spark of hope in an unexpected place.
In one of these places was a large barn. I found something that did save my life. A Norwegian prisoner had lost a bottle nearly full of cod liver oil. I had never had a great liking for cod liver oil. We ate cod liver oil on bread with salt. It tasted like the finest delicacy you ever had because it sustained us. But in retrospect, I know it saved my life.
In Rudy's darkest moments, hope was his sustenance. When it seemed like there was no reason to have hope, his bottle of cod liver oil gave him the strength to keep believing in a brighter future. Rudy's hope of escaping and seeing his family again sustained him for years until he was finally free. When I heard Rudy's story, I was deeply moved by how he survived so many unthinkable atrocities. And I realized that if hope was all he needed to sustain him, then hope could get me through the challenges I faced too. Before I watched his testimony, I tended to give up easily when I didn't think my circumstances would improve. But now, regardless of my situation, I choose the sustenance of hope.
Wow. I have to congratulate everyone, our students, our teachers, our finalists, our first and second place award winners. This is really moving and remarkable work. Will everyone join me in congratulating everyone? This contest truly speaks to Chapman's values as a university, as a place where generations come together and learn from one another, and as an institution that recognizes the power of memory to inform and guide our decisions and actions today. For those of you whose first time this is at Chapman University, again, welcome. I hope to see you back more often. This is a place that hopefully you will consider when you are thinking about college. It's a place that celebrates your curiosity and your desire to learn. It's a place where professors become mentors whose love of learning will both teach and inspire you as you begin your own academic journey. I know I've been inspired by your work today and appreciate you being with us. And now, to close us out, our interim director, Dr. Ionescu.
Thank you, President Parlow. We're grateful to you for taking time from your busy schedule to be part of today's ceremony. I also want to thank a number of other people and offices at Chapman University who have contributed their time and talents to making this event a success, including event operations, public safety, media services, fire and life safety, facilities management, strategic marketing, the auditorium staff, Sodexo Catering, Rabbi Cassie Kale and the Jewish Life Program, and the many Chapman students, faculty, and staff who are volunteering. Special thanks go to Sherry Bard, Dr. Marin Aron, the founding director of the Rogers Center. Let's give her some applause. Ashley Bloomfield, and especially Jessica Mailaimuk, Associate Director of the Rogers Center. Whose leadership, exceptional organizational ability, and hard work have made this event possible. Congratulations to all the participants in this year's contest. We look forward to seeing you at the awards ceremony next year on Friday, March 19, 2027.